Welcome, welcome, welcome to Livermore Rotary. First day of March. So I heard that, Michael. So I'm going to start with a little story. When I was in college, one of my roommates who is, he's as unusual, frankly, as Michael. He decides that he is going to have an Ides of March party. Exactly. We all, the other guys in the house all thought, well, we don't know what that is, but does that mean the better looking girls are going to show up? Because that's all we focused on. Turned out that wasn't the case. No. So I learned a little bit about Shakespeare that I soon forgot. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Yeah. Okay, so we have some announcements we're going to start off with. First, Diana, you can read up there yourself. Diana she suffered a broken hip and an elbow this past weekend, apparently in her backyard, tripped over a hose or something like that. And she's she seems to be talkative and is recuperating, and immediately turned all her crab feed duties over. She was so concerned about it, so bless her for doing all that. We're going to miss her obviously on Friday. And also, if I could ask Beth, if you might give us, if you have a microphone to Beth, give us a little information on Alan Frank.
Yeah, Alan was taken to the emergency room at Valley Care on, I believe, Saturday. And I found out a couple of days later also, but he has some internal bleeding. And yesterday they sent a camera down. I guess you swallow a camera somehow. And meanwhile, of course, they have lost the paperwork for the test, the 8-hour test for doing that. I spoke with him just, when the meeting started half an hour ago to get an update for all of you folks. So he is still at Valley Care. He would love to have anybody come visit him. And he feels a little better today than he did yesterday. He's able to walk around a little bit. So we don't know what the deal is. It is considered to be quite serious, but they don't know how long he's going to be in the hospital either. So I wish I could give more detail, but that's what we know.
Yes, we know. Thank you. Thank you, Beth. All right. Thank you very much. Well, no more. Let's turn to the pledge, and Sonia, lead us in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Songsters, what do we got?
I actually have a cold, so I'm going to bow out here. I'll bow out gracefully in a little bit, but I just wanted to invite everybody to the opera, because I'll be in the opera, and David will be in the opera, and Gordon will be in the opera, and we're all wearing makeup. So, okay. How many of you guys have heard of Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven? Remember that? Okay, we're not doing that song. Okay. What we're doing is a song that, as a guitar player, people always want to know if you could play Stairway to Heaven. But when I was growing up, it was Stairway to Heaven, but it was also Alice's Restaurant. So we're going to play Alice's Restaurant for you. All right. Huh? We're going to do the whole song. So get comfortable. Okay. One more time. Can't get anything you want. You can't get anything you want. Okay, I can't hear them. Anything you want, house is restaurant. You can't get anything you want. At our restaurant, walk right in, around the back, just half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at our restaurant. Outside restaurant. Close enough.
Thank you, guys. That was great. Okay, our thought and Christian is filling in for Lynn Monica. Lynn had to fly to New Jersey because her mother is very ill. Thank you so much for filling in.
How many of you, if you have it your way, you're doing everything right, you're healthy? How many of you, and also full of energy, would love to live to age 90 or 95? How many of you? If you're healthy and you're strong and you're full of energy. Okay, I don't see you raising your hands. Okay. You can live longer, like John Shirley. Okay, yeah. Now, there are some areas of the world called the blue zones. You know, you think about the Okinawa, Japan, Loma Linda, California, Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. You find 103, 104-year-old men riding their bicycles, filled with so much energy. You know, and they perform so many physical activities that are so challenging, better than even younger people. You can imagine a 78-year-old running a marathon and coming first more than the younger people, you know, trailing behind. It is crazy. So these people, what you find that they are some of the happiest people in retirement. What is their secret? And when you think about that, I mean, they have, just like you guys, very strong social interactions, like we mix up, and we get together every month, for wine and everything, and they're making meaningful relationships, whatever. But again, they maintain a positive attitude and they practice gratitude and they never stop learning. You might think you're older, you can enroll at Las Positas and just learn anything, go to evening school or whatever to stimulate your brain. But the biggest thing is that they work hard on staying healthy. As a matter of fact, between the exercise and eating healthy, it's been proven that it will reduce the risk of developing certain health conditions, increase energy levels, boost your immune system, and improve your mood. And it's never too late to get moving. We can get moving. We might even start, putting 1 minute mobile minute, to stand up instead of 1.5 hours sitting down. We need to practice, think about that. Research actually shows that even those who become physically active and they adopt healthy diet late in life, they dramatically lower the risk of cardiovascular illnesses and have a lower death rate than their peers. That is why the CDC recommends, about 5 days a week, 30 minutes to about 1 hour every day, about 150 to about 300 minutes per week. We can all do that, particularly if you no longer work for a living, like me. And by doing so, but you can see why, and I can't wait to hear more from Open Heart Kitchen today. You can see why that they dedicate their services towards providing nutritious meals in our Tri-Valley area for the neighbors in need. And many of you, I know, are putting money into Open Heart Kitchen. I do too every year, whenever I can. But here's the deal, the huge benefit to you is that by doing so, you are developing even a better, clear sense of purpose in your life. You cannot give with a closed fist. You have to open your palm so they can take what you're given. Simultaneously, you're opening for God's blessings to drop in. I don't know how it works. I don't care to understand how it works. It does work. So spending money on themselves, most retirees found, actually, they found they're happier in retirement. Instead of spending money on themselves, spending money on others makes them happier. So you can see why that the way we are helping the open heart kitchen provide nutrition, I mean, even if they don't live that long, you can imagine you can afford to do that yourself. Many people cannot in our communities. That is why it is so critical that we keep giving, keep supporting, keep helping, but more importantly, do it for yourself also and eat well. I have there's a book I have, it's called the Blue Zones Diet. Yeah. So anyway, if you want to touch base with me later, I can tell you about the book. You can actually order the recipes. It will give you 100 American recipes to easily prepare good, nutritious meal in your homes. You can all afford it. So the goal here is we want to have everybody around for a long time, like John Shirley, so we can keep doing good in the community. And I know we can all do that. I salute you all.
Thank you, Christian. So better living through Rotary? Is that the, okay. Mark, that's a slogan you should write down. Better living through Rotary. Okay, if we have to revisit this. All right, thank you very much. All right, all you wonderful people. We have a full house of helpers, I guess. So Spur reporters, Tim. Thank you so much, Tim. Spur publishers, Ted Michaels. Our photographer today is Irv. Thank you. AV, Don handled it this week because we still have Dennis is out with COVID. Zoom host and chat monitor is Pat Coyle. And our greeter today with the big hand, Trex Donovan. Thank you so much, Trex. Thanks, guys. And I think from just seeing all these male faces, ladies, maybe, next one.
President Splin,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, we are circulating this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We're circulating 2 cards. There's a bigger card going around for Diana, and then I just started a card for Alan Frank. So
Okay, thank
please,
you.
it's a smaller card, but please be sure to sign it so I can mail them off tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Sheila. All right. First, let's go to Pat Coyle. Pat, do we have any visiting Rotarians?
President Splin, we do not.
Thank you. How about in the room? Do we have any visiting Rotarians? I know we have one. Okay.
Sorry,
There you
it's
go.
my pleasure to introduce Rich Goldstein from our morning club. Rich is an investment guru. He's a friend. He's a good golfer. Say no more. Welcome, Rich.
Thank you.
Welcome, Rich. Okay. Pat, do we have any visitors on Zoom?
We do not.
All right. How about any visitors in the room? Anyone visiting? Besides our speaker? No, besides our speaker. Okay. Ron, you don't want to introduce? Or you? He's old hat at this point.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. All right, next slide, please. Don, next slide. Okay, announcements. First, a couple of announcements. I didn't want to, so I've been working with Jackie to, remember we used to have an Interact auction. We used to have an auctioneer. Well, Interact Club has been reformed. So they have, I think her name is Roya, right? Jackie, is that her name? The student at Livermore High, I think. So we always had to pass over having the auction because they weren't organized, but we do want to raise money from it. And I didn't want to burdensome. I mean, we have that crab feed going on where we're trying to raise a bunch of money. So what we decided, Jackie and I talked about, is we're going to do a silent auction. We're going to hold it over a couple of weeks. I brought my staff prepares some. If you turn around, you can see Jackie holding them up. They're baskets. We don't have the baskets. We just have descriptions. Jackie has donated some roses and some gift cards to Nations for a pie. We're gonna leave them back there. We're not gonna leave out every week. We'll bring them for about 3 weeks. We'll figure out a way to do it online. Kathy Coyle asked, how does she bid? Chat, please don't do chat because that means somebody's got to pay attention. We'll figure out a way. Maybe I'll work with Joe, figure out a way to, we'll get them in an email, figure out a way for people to bid, but you'll have opportunity. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to burden you with the crab feed coming up, but I just thought if you want to go back there, take a look at what we got, please do, but they'll be there in the next few weeks. All right. Next, let's see what else we got. Okay, Debbie, you want to take care of B days and anniversaries? What, you guys didn't realize we were having birthdays and anniversaries? Yeah, we're waiting for you.
Got a lot of birthdays this month. So when I call your name, can you raise your hand so Carol can give you your goodie? So the 5th of March, Jim Schmidt. Raise your hand. The 8th of March is Lynn Monica, but as we heard, she's not here today. The 10th of March, Yvonne Hopkins. She's there. The 12th of March is Jackie Williams Courtright. The 15th of March, we've got Ron Koopman. Raise your hand, Ron. Kathy Coyle, the 19th of March. Mike Morgan is the 27th of March. And I've not seen Bruce Wiggs in a really long time, but his birthday is the 28th of March. Is he in? And then we have Mark Roberts, the 29th of March. And last but not least, the 30th of March, Splendorio. Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you Rotarians.
Happy birthday to you. And then I guess people don't get married in March very much, but we only have 2. Mike Ferrucci, the 19th of March, 46 years. 46 years. Yeah, you better be talking to your wife. And again, last but not least, Splend has been married 33 years on the 31st of March. Okay. So happy anniversary.
Thanks, Dad. Thank you very much. Bob, this is the last crab feed announcement for the year.
Okay, the first instruction for the crab feed is come here, don't go to the Alm Center, okay? And tell your friends not, to come here. So do you have another slide there, Donald? So last night we had our last meeting before the crab feed committee. We called it the panic meeting. Joel came in and panicked and he had this list. And it turns out since the panic meeting, he's filled everything out except.
Okay, we have volunteers for almost everything. And I will be sending out specific instructions this afternoon. However, if you're working in the kitchen and you have a t-shirt or a polo shirt with the Rotary symbol on it, wear that because the kids who are there need to know who's in charge. A Rotary hat would work too. Besides, you'll be wearing a hat in the kitchen to keep, sanitary. The people who have volunteered to drive that I don't send notices out to this afternoon, I still need your help because after the crab feed, all that equipment, all those washed dishes have to go back somewhere. And so we'll be taking all the volunteers I can get to drive things after the crab feed as well. Thank you very much.
By the way, Joel is in charge of the kitchen. Any complaints? See Joel, not the crab feed team. So do you need any more coffee crafts? Or are we good there?
Roland said they had some coffee carafes there, so if we could get like 5 of those, that would round us out to 8 carafes, and that should
we're
be
good.
sufficient, I
Okay.
think.
Okay. So we'll see you all that night. We actually sold one of the live auction items walking in today. So we're up one.
But that would be Alan Frank. No, that's Alan Burnham. I'm just saying. All right, one more announcement on the crab feed for Mike Thompson, who wants me to pimp his auction lot here. That's a word from the 70s, right, Michael? Yeah, got it. So it's all about your business success. Are you looking to buy a business, increase profits, grow? If you answered yes, and there's a whole bunch of questions here, you should get to know Mike Thompson, a successful entrepreneur. Oh, really? I'm reading this? Well, I should have read it beforehand. You should get to know Mike Thompson, successful entrepreneur and experienced businessman. Mike has agreed to provide a 4-hour consultation to assist you with your business plans. So the obvious buyer, and the minimum bid is $450 and the bid increments are 150. So this will be a silent auction. Is this a live auction? I can
Silent auction.
silent. Thank you, Mike.
I
Thank
just appreciate if you talk to maybe one of your kids, a friend, a neighbor. This isn't like a bottle of wine where we're all interested, or most of us. So try to find someone. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for Irv.
There will not be melted butter. No. Yes, so no open campfires Friday night. Yes, we have lots of butter.
Woo, man, I was like feeling people were getting really sweaty over lack of melted butter. Okay, Linda, come on up. A new member talk.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Linda Stanford, and Splin introduced me to Rotary. So I started coming around October and getting a feel for things. We've lived in Livermore here for almost 27 years. I have 2 children, well, grown adults now, and who went through the school system here at St. Michael's and Livermore High and started off at Allman. And my husband, I just recently retired. I've been an elementary school teacher for over 39 years. So I'm just dipping into the retirement lifestyle. Although I am going back and subbing a little bit for some friends who have been calling. So it keeps me a little bit busy there. My husband continues to work for a little bit longer. And I started learning a little more about the Rotary and what it really means and what does it stand for and what kind of a club is this? And as I'm slowly learning more and more about it, I have just really appreciated the concepts and the beliefs of giving back to our community. And if I'm going to, since I'm retired, I'm kind of a little bit more stingy with my time and kind of deciding where do I want to volunteer? Because when the children were all in school, I can see, I know Kim did a lot too. We were on every committee, every planning, crab feeds, this, that, and the other. And you do it because it's for your kids and it's a great worthy cause. So as life continues, you have to think, well, where am I going to put my time and where do I think it would be helpful? And I truly believe in giving back to our community. We have invested in Livermore. And so I have really been learning about the things. And I also appreciate the worldwide. I mean, it's just not our little community, it's global, which I think is incredible as well. So that's been my interest, and I'm still learning and still thinking about where I fit into this wonderful group of givers I look at. Other than that, when you talked about age, my father's going to be 95 at the end of this month. And so We've been very blessed to have our parents for this long and needs a little bit more time and a little more help. And when you said about living long for a healthy lifestyle, I truly believe that. I mean, I think good genes are also important, but the healthy lifestyle and that and activeness. I mean, he just stopped golfing at 91. So I really think that that's a key to maybe some of the success. So I divide my time going down to San Jose and helping out there now that I'm retired. So that's been a blessing to be able to do that as well. I'm looking forward to the crab feed. Haven't been to one of those in a while. And so I think that it's been great, you know, that things are starting to come back too after we've been a little bit closed down for a little while. And that's where I'm at today. That's my little introduction on being a new member. I'm excited to continue to check off those lists to turn this blue, but you know, I've given myself a longer timeline and no rush. So, but I do appreciate all the support and I enjoy coming to the meetings when I'm able to. So thank you very much. You've all been very welcoming. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you for giving back, helping us. And all right, Rich, come on up. So we have a short presentation on an initiative from our foundation that has contributed or given a grant to something called Ambassadors of Compassion. Rich is going to introduce the subject. We'll talk more about this, but this is the introduction.
Hello, everyone. I think I know many of you. For those that don't, I'll do a quick introduction. Rich Goldstein. I'm a member of our Livermore Valley Rotary Club, a member of our board of Rotary Foundation of Livermore. And I can say with great pride that this last year, I had the good fortune of meeting this organization, Ambassadors of Compassion. And when I met them, I first thought was that this could be an amazing partnership for Rotary. So I started to pursue this opportunity, and it took me over the last 6-9 months to move it more formally into our school district for them to have them consider this program for our students in Livermore. So this all culminated in the last month and a half, 2 months into a final approval. And next week, we are kicking off our first program right here in Livermore at Junction K-8. And this is going to be kind of a role model of what I hope and I have a vision to be a much more expanded program over the next few years, going from middle school to high school and maybe even college. And what I'm like to share with you is our foundation decided to grant, as Glenn said, and sponsor this first event. The economics of this program are amazingly effective by the organization, where they basically do this 10-week program with a 2-hour kickoff event for $60 per student for the whole program. So this event this coming week, 150 of the 300 7th, 8th graders will go through the formal program. Our foundation just sponsored this event with $9,000, which is really very significant. Now, my outreach to you all in the club is to say that this is not just a funding opportunity. This is a Rotary involvement opportunity. This coming event, we welcome all of you that are interested to come to the event. The information is being handed out and also will be sent by email. It kicks off at 8:45 at the school in their gym. And it's hard to imagine this unless you see it. And I've been through this amazingly on a personal level to see the reaction and the results of the students. So I welcome all of you. In addition, we're looking for Rotarians that might want to be part of the program over the next 9-10 weeks. And that involves just being part of these breakout groups of the students to act as a facilitator. You're not teaching, you're not directing them. You'll just be there to observe and be part of this process. So there'll be an email going out with the details, and there'll be a sign-up genius for those that might want to consider joining us. So we welcome you. But the bigger picture is, if this goes well, we have a buy-in from superintendent of schools and from the administration, and they're all watching with great interest to see if this really works. The vision is to not only expand, and I've already been told that maybe 1,000 high school students next year could be given this opportunity, but to take this model and give it to other Rotarians in other cities around the country. And I will tell you already conversations are starting. And I think if Livermore can be a role model for Rotary in this partnership, I'd let me know what you think after you have a chance to see this program. I will just say that we're all skeptical in our business to make sure things are what they say they are. This organization has been around 12 years, has already put through 75,000 students through the program, and they've just launched through 10 cities a similar program, and they're going to their goal of 1 million students over the next 2 years. And that would be sustainable. So Rotary can play a big part as major corporations and foundations and family offices are sponsoring. I think we all can be a big part of that opportunity. So we welcome all you to be involved and appreciate your consideration. And I will have my contact info, and I can be reached individually with any individual questions. And I'll say after if anyone wants to chat in detail. So thank you very much.
You did with the hat. So no, go ahead. We'll keep moving. Don, next, please. Next week program is a club assembly. And what we're going to talk about is the $25,000 grant that we received from the County of Alameda through the American Recovery Act federal. Well, I won't say giveaway, but anyway, so we're just gonna have, we've had a committee working on it, and we're gonna report out on the committee's efforts, but really we're all gonna decide what we should do with the money. Okay. All right, cool. Next, Sheila, are you? Hi, Michael.
Thank you, President Splin and fellow Rotarians. Today, I'm very honored to introduce a gentleman that has taken the helm over, well, I think he's been involved in many, many years, but leading a wonderful group that helps so many in our community. I just probably can't imagine doing something like that, the impact that you make. It's just, it has to be so rewarding. So if you would all please help me welcome today, John Bost of Open Heart Kitchen.
So I am not a Rotarian, but I feel very at home with all of you. I think the last opportunity I had to speak with you and spend some time with you was last year when my colleague and friend Donna McKenzie refused to show up for an acknowledgement and recognition for her work with the Livermore Homeless Refuge, even though I pleaded with her. So I had the distinct honor of being Donna McKenzie for a day, which I had always wondered what that felt like. I also am grateful to for the Rotary Club of Livermore for the opportunity for my daughter Zoe Bost, who's now 20, who was making her way through the speech competition when COVID hit. I think she had just won at, is it Castlewood Country Club in Pleasanton? She had won that, and so we were looking forward, and I think that was February of 2020. So we were looking forward to taking the next step. And of course, if you're not aware, the pandemic hit. So let me just do a quick survey here, because I'm always interested in this new role, even though, as you so wonderfully presented, even though I'm new at the helm of executive director for Open Heart Kitchen, actually my 2-month anniversary is coming up on Friday. I've volunteered with OHK since 2011, and I think I've held just about every volunteer position in that. So by a show of hands, raise your hand if you have heard of Open Heart Kitchen. So that gives me great joy. That's what I love to hear. Raise your hand if you have ever at any point in time in your existence since 1995 volunteered with Open Heart Kitchen. Thank you. Our volunteers, we went from pre-COVID to needing somewhere between 400 and 500 volunteers a week to needing 0 volunteers during COVID, as we shifted our model to a much more staff-based to try to be mindful and protective of folks, to care for them as well as our staff. And a lot of things changed, and we Open Heart Kitchen was not immune to the word that became very popular and still is popular today, which is the word pivot. So we learned how to pivot. We're excited that things are starting to come back online again to open up those volunteer opportunities once again in some familiar places and some new places that I'm excited to share a little bit more with you. So Open Heart Kitchen, as I had mentioned, has been around since 1995, and it started as a single meal distribution site. There is great argument over where it started exactly, whether that was at Holy Cross Lutheran Church here in Livermore or Linwood Methodist Church in Pleasanton. I used to be the pastor at Holy Cross, and so people got very fired up over these types of things. I really don't care where it started. I'm just glad it exists today and it's still going. Open Heart Kitchen's mission is one that really excites me, and I had an opportunity to talk at length about in this interview process back in December. It is to provide equitable access to nutritious food while building a food secure future. What I like about this mission statement is it's twofold. The very first part of it, this idea of providing equitable access to nutritious meals, there's a lot to unpack in there, but I just want to say briefly, for me, that encapsulates this idea of charity, of meeting people right where they are. It speaks to the immediacy of people's needs, not 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but people are hungry now, people are homeless now, people are struggling with all kinds of things now. It's our responsibility to meet them where they are as quickly and as effectively and as efficiently as possible. But I'm proud that this mission statement doesn't just stop at the charity piece. It keeps going into what also excites me, which is this justice piece, this idea of building a food secure future. That is the marathon. If the first half of this mission statement is the sprint, and it's a daily sprint, then the second piece of that is a lifetime of work. A quote, I can't remember my wife's birthday, but I can remember quotes from people like the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I don't remember where I first read this, but he said that perhaps instead of continuing to pull people out of the river down here, downstream, it would make sense to get upstream to figure out why people keep falling in the first place. One of the misconceptions, I think, about food insecurity, much like homelessness, is that these are in and of themselves the problems, and they are problematic. But the reality is that if you peel back enough layers, you start to see that there are deeper systemic, structural, institutional things at work, many of which feel invisible and many of which feel where people feel powerless to do anything about those. Homelessness, we know, oftentimes is a consequence of mental illness challenges, of substance abuse, of chronic illness, domestic violence, lack of transportation, lack of employment, lack of healthcare, all of these things, and then these present themselves as homelessness. Well, food insecurity is directly tied to income insecurity. So food insecurity is a consequence of income insecurity. And if you think about, if you were to list all of your bills and look at your budget for any given month, you would often find that the most flexible of budgetary items in there at times is food, because you can get very creative with how you prepare food. You can't call PGE up and say, hey, I'm feeling like this month I'm going to pay you $100 and I'll try to do 400 next month. Can't do that on your mortgage. I don't think it works that way, but you can say, all right, I'll eat a can of green beans so my kids can have a sandwich, or I won't eat anything so my kids can have. And so those types of decisions are made. Since 1995, I had asked our guru of database if she could come up with a number, because this was a question that got asked at a dinner the other night, a fundraiser for OHK. And she said, how many meals have you served since 1995? And the best that we can come up with, because we have a couple of years where records weren't always kept so wonderfully, it's somewhere between 7 million and 7.5 million. So I always, when I share that number, I am both excited and sad. Right? My involvement with the Livermore Homeless Refuge as an adjacent sort of intersection with OHK has been, when I see guests that would come to the refuge, I'd say, we're so happy that you could come and access this service and be here and be our guest. But I hope I never see you again. And I wasn't saying that in a mean way. I was saying, I hope that the social service matrix within City of Livermore, Pleasant, and Dublin is working hard enough for you to where you don't need to access this service ever again. That's the upstream part, right? So as much as we get excited about the temporary capacity piece, which is, this is how many meals we served, you can, where does that stop? If we lift that up as the primary metric of success and say, hey, in 2021, we served over 2 million meals, and that's the success, then we have to measure that in 2023 to say, and next year we're going to do 3 million meals, and the next year we're going to do 4 million meals. Well, that's not a great metric for success if we're talking about trying to get upstream and doing the justice work to where people no longer have to access our services, not because they don't have access and don't know about them, but because there are things in place for them where they don't need to anymore. And I think ultimately that has to be the goal that drives us, and the idea that inspires and gives us hope. So of that 7 million to 7.5 million number, over 2 million of those meals were served at the height of the pandemic. Just let that sink in for a little bit. This chart doesn't quite even do it justice, probably. And we know that, you know, as the pandemic was ramping up in 2020, things were really on fire in 2021. And so just to give you some sense of the numbers going all the way back to 2018, we served 3,028 meals, 328,000 meals in 2018. 2019, we served 339,000 meals. In 2020, we served 541,000 meals. And then we jumped up in 2021 to over 2 million meals. 2023, we're forecasted to be, or 2022, 469,000 meals. And now in 2023, we're forecasting that will come in somewhere around 443,000 meals. So from 2019 to 2022, across that was a 38% increase. But the jump from 2020 to 2021 was a 275% increase. A huge chunk of that for Open Heart Kitchen in 2021. Speaking of that word pivot, since most of our in-person congregate meal settings went away overnight, we pivoted and shifted and set up shop at the Alameda County Food Bank or Alameda County Fairgrounds. So folks could literally drive up in the line, get in line, and the lines were long for a long time, 5 days a week, and making sure that we were distributing groceries, which consisted of pop your trunk, here's a box of groceries, and go. We were paying about $20,000 a month, just to give you a sense of the cost of what it takes to run these services at Alameda County Fairgrounds. When we no longer could be there, then we moved to Pleasant Senior Center. When we could no longer be there in the parking lot, we moved to the back parking lot of Workday over by Stone Ridge Mall. So we're figuring out how to do this in different places with different staff coming in. So in Alameda County, 1 in 5 residents is experiencing or at risk of hunger. Poverty is defined as earning somewhere between $25,000 a year or less for a family of 4 up to $30,000. All of these numbers feel unique in Alameda County, which cities are not on the same playing field in terms of what it costs to live in East Alameda County versus what it costs to live in Hayward, what it costs to live in Berkeley, what it costs to live in Oakland. So food security is simply the consistent access to enough food for an active, healthy life. The rate of food insecurity has grown by nearly 5% in 2 years. A study back in 2019 by the Alameda County Community Food Bank with the Urban Institute estimated that something along the lines of 199,000 Alameda County residents are considered food insecure. And that in the Tri-Valley, nearly 26,000 residents are struggling to meet their very basic and essential needs. An additional 130,000 residents are considered marginally food secure, indicating that they at times had problems or anxiety about accessing adequate nutrition. So I don't want to jump too much into the weeds in terms of defining how we arrive at annual median incomes and rent assistance and those types of things and poverty levels. But as you already know, not even jumping into the weeds, living in a place like Livermore, Pleasant, or Dublin is incredibly expensive. How many of you own your own homes? How many of you bought those 30 or 40 years ago? Yeah. My wife, Sean, and I have lived in Livermore since 2006 and have rented. We're on our 5th rental home because even the two of us working do not make enough money to purchase a house in Livermore. So how do we define food security or food insecurity? Food security is simply this condition in which all people at times have physical, social, and economic access to nutritious and culturally appropriate food for an active and healthy lifestyle. The rate of food insecurity has risen by nearly 5% in Alameda County, from 9.1 to 13.9% in just 2 years. So what's this mean on a human level? Well, if you have limited income or you have an unexpected crisis, you are forced to make some extremely difficult choices. For example, we know that the Bay Area, as I said, already has one of the most expensive housing markets in the country. In Alameda County, a household might be paying half or more of their monthly income on a 2-bedroom apartment and getting more and more stressed about paying for other expenses like food. Meanwhile, the annual income required to make ends meet in our county is rapidly approaching $120,000 a year, with 2 working adults or more than 3 full-time minimum wage jobs for a family of 4. And so often our clients are forced to choose between food or medicine, food or utilities, food or shelter. So how does Open Heart Kitchen step into this gap, this void, this breach, if you will? The hot meal program has been the staple of Open Heart Kitchen. I'm guessing that if you have volunteered with Open Heart Kitchen, it was likely at one of our facilities where we had sit-down congregate meal where folks would come and either sit at a table, much like these round tables, at Asbury Church or Ridgeview Commons or any number of places throughout the Tri-Valley, not only to get food, but also to connect with one another. One of the things that we've learned over the years, especially as it relates to our senior clients, is there's a lot of social isolation that occurs in our senior clients' lives. And so it's not just showing up to have their stomachs filled or fed, if you will, but just this very human element of connecting one human being to another. And for those who didn't sit down for the congregate meals, the meals that we served could take up to 6 meals, take them home to their family. So it was this wonderful sort of community that was fostered. And when COVID hit, that was a real loss for a lot of people to not have those opportunities anymore. We're excited to start seeing folks feel more comfortable and secure in coming and sitting down once again and revisiting with old friends and making new friends. So our hot meal program, that's been the staple for OHK for years. We welcome anyone in need. This isn't means tested. This isn't an eligibility required type of experience for folks. Anyone who's struggling to make ends meet or not can come and get a meal or more for their family to sit down and eat or take to go. And they can rely and know that OHK is creating meals that are nutritious. So our senior meal program is probably our fastest growing program now, as we look around in this room, and I was even listening to the stories of folks who are having some challenges with falling or just medical as we get older. And we're a lot of, and my dad's a baby boomer. He's 80 years old. So there are a lot of baby boomers that are getting older who are in those places now where they need access to meals that are convenient and healthy and nutritious. And one of the things that I was talking with a friend about the other day was a lot of times the folks that access our senior meal program were married, and they both lived together, and one of them was the primary chef or cook. And when that person dies, there's a very real gap and void there in that home, or the other individual who may not have really cooked much at all in their lives. And so I remember my grandparents. I'm not sure my grandfather could have dressed himself or boiled a pot of water without my grandmother. So if you know a story like that, you know what I'm talking about. So we've had tremendous support from the cities of Livermore, Pleston, and Dublin for our senior meal program, as well as the area agency on aging. We work with the dietitians to make sure that our production kitchen makes meals specified in terms of what people need to have a healthy, balanced diet. And so we send out weekly, monthly reports to our dietitian to make sure that the ingredients that are going in are within the acceptable levels of sodium and all those types of things, so that she signs off and makes sure that we're putting healthy, nutritious food in front of folks. And it tastes good. I work about 3 days a week out of our Danville office, which is where the production kitchen is. And I am sad when I do not get to eat the food that is going out. One of the things that we added as we were seeing more and more of a growing need in our unsheltered population in Livermore, Pleston, and Dublin. Some of that as the result of Santa Rita Jail releasing some folks to try to be as safe as they could as COVID was rampant in our prisons and jails. A lot of those folks landed here in Livermore behind Walmart, Kohl's, and the Arroyo there. And so we had a massive influx of folks that we had not seen at that level before. And so we saw the need, as other partner organizations did here in the Tri-Valley. And we tried to go and touch on that first part of our mission statement to provide equitable access to nutritious food, to meet folks where they are. And so we have a team that travels 6 days a week and goes out to various encampments throughout the Tri-Valley, most of which are here in Livermore, to meet them where they are. We partner with CityServe. We invited them in and contracted with them so that one of their caseworkers travels with us, so that we can make sure that not only are we providing nutritious meals to those folks who are unsheltered, but that we're connecting them with vitally important resources here in the Tri-Valley as well. Just to give you a sense of, there is no such thing as a typical unsheltered person, but I want to introduce you to someone. Let's call her Sandra. She's one of our unhoused clients. She has lived in an encampment for the last year. She is a cancer survivor. The fact that she has cancer was one of the things that her employer used against her as justification for letting her go from a job that she had dedicated her life to for the last 13 years. The supplemental security income grant that Sandra receives cannot provide any sort of refuge in Livermore or anywhere else in the state for that matter. What little she has goes towards paying for propane tanks in order to stay warm in her shelter along the embankment behind Walmart. Sandra also pays for a storage unit so she can preserve what's left from her home and her life with her daughter. What little savings Sandra has after that went to pay for a memorial for her daughter. %49 of our hot meal clients are senior clients. So the same time that you all are meeting here, I'm sure you hear the chatter and the noise and that's coming from next door. That's our senior meal program that happens here at Robert Livermore Community Center. After that, we clean up a little bit, shift things around a bit to get ready to accept our hot meal clients. So many of those clients, 49% of them, get meals as part of our senior meal program and are worried about having enough food to just get them through the week, that they will stick around for the hot meal program too. Let's talk a little bit. I'm going to jump here. I don't want to run out of time and not be able to talk about these projects that are on the horizon. One of the things that Open Heart Kitchen has been really adept at is always thinking ahead of what's next, what happens next. with the key provision being, we are not willing to take on new projects if it means we have to sacrifice the efficacy of the ones that we already are committed to. So we're very careful in this race to expand simply for the sake of expansion. We know the need always outpaces our ability to meet it, but we do not, cannot, will not sacrifice our current clients and the projects we have in pursuit of the next thing. So to take on a couple of huge projects this year is indicative of where we feel like we have reached as an organization here in the Tri-Valley, and the confidence we have in our ability to continue to make good on our promises to deliver for the projects and programs that we already have, to reach a point now where I can talk about what's coming up on the horizon here. So Vineyard 2.0, as it's called now, if you have been if you've driven up, driven, is that a word? Okay. If you've driven, driven, North Livermore Avenue, where Vineyard Christian Fellowship used to be, the city of Livermore made a sizable investment to secure that property. And I'm giving you a quick sort of mock-up here of the street view of a facility that I had the opportunity, even before I was officially part of Open Heart Kitchen, to be a part of through my involvement with Livermore Homeless Refuge. The three anchor tenants, if you will, of Vineyard 2.0 are the Housing Consortium of East Bay, which is the managing entity in this project. Open Heart Kitchen is really the anchor organization in terms of managing the homeless resource center side of this facility. And then Livermore Homeless Refuge will have its permanent shelter there as well. So it's going up quickly. Rain, it's been a muddy mess out there. I have the opportunity to go there every Friday to meet with our general contractor and the foreman on the job and a couple of architects who've been fantastic, Gunkel Architecture, and we figure out the pathway every Friday if it's been wet to sort of navigate to try to get to the trailer unscathed. This is sort of a top-down view. The white buildings in the back are already structures that were there, that were already located there when Vineyard Christian Fellowship was there. Jump off really quick. This is building A. This is the bulk. Thanks, Charles. Yeah, I know. Sorry, Zoom folks. Building A is the homeless resource center on the lower level, and on the top level is part of what is in total 24 permanent supportive apartment residences. I believe on the top of building A, there are 18 of those 24 units. The other 6 there's 5 here, and then I think there is 1 here. This is essentially the common area for all of the residential based folks that will be there at Vineyard. And all of the services, including Livermore Homeless Refuge, Open Heart Kitchens, production kitchen and dining room, offices for local partners to come in and set up shop, laundry, mail, showers, storage, all those things happen in this main building, which is building A. Another sort of top-down approach there. One of the things we had to figure out in designing this facility, this project, was there's a certain number of parking spaces that are connected to square footage and those types of things, and the use of the building. Since most of our guests don't have cars, we were able to really cheat more on the sort of space size and less on the parking lot side, which allowed us to really be more creative with the space. So this is looking inside of building A. The very front here, where you see multi-purpose room, meeting room, that is the side that is facing Livermore Avenue. And so on the back side of that building is OHK's food service kitchen. And this becomes the flagship kitchen for Open Heart Kitchen. Right now, our food production kitchen is at the Gagnon Center in Danville on San Ramon Boulevard there, San Ramon Valley Boulevard. We used to have some production that happened at Ridgeview Commons Kitchen across from Pleasant Middle School, but we quickly outgrew that space. We've been really fortunate to find this professional kitchen there in Danville. But essentially, when this project is fully online, which fingers crossed is somewhere maybe this September, as early as this September, maybe as late as October, then that production will shift from Danville to here. And all the food that is served here obviously will be prepared here, and all the food that goes out will be prepared here. So this will be the hub. This will be the place. The meeting room is essentially the space where Livermore Homeless Refuge will begin with our clients, and we have storage where it says office and storage. And then when we have a busy night, we have the ability to spill over into the multipurpose room to expand. My suspicion with this space is, depending on what time you come during the day or night, it is going to be constantly morphing into what it needs to be in order to accommodate to the guests that are coming there. So it is a true multi-use facility. Just some mock-ups here of just folks getting checked in. Part of the organizational plan right now is figuring out all these fine details in terms of who operates what and where the funding comes from, where is it coming from, and who's on the hook for it, and who's taking care of that, and who has site control, and all those wonderful things. So that's Vineyard 2.0. That is a $24 million project, of which Open Heart Kitchen has a $2.25 million investment in. The city purchased that landmark. You may remember some of this, around 1.6 million, I think. So, and probably overall has invested about $6 million. The cities of Pleasanton and Dublin have been absolutely generous as well in this. Really quickly, the next project, the Open Heart Kitchen Food Bank, is going to be opening up on Patterson Pass across from the lab. We have secured a 19,000 square foot warehouse there. This will essentially become what is called the RDO, Redistribution Organization for the Alameda County Community Food Bank. This is the second of its kind in Alameda County. The first is the Berkeley Food Network in Berkeley. This allows folks who operate food pantries in the Tri-Valley to come to Open Heart Food Bank to get their food, to then take it back to distribute. So this creates an opportunity we've not had in the Tri-Valley before to bring in. I don't know what the tonnage is on this. The sheer amount of food to be able to bring fresh produce is the future of food banks, if you don't know that, into our area, to quickly get that prepared and distributed to our partner organizations. The only thing that we have a shortage of right now, and this may be the what's next for Open Heart Kitchen, is to create more food distribution sites that can come and access food from Open Heart Food Bank. So I'm really excited about where this is going to go. This is about a $3.2 million project for Open Heart Kitchen, of which we're short about 1 million. So if you brought your checkbooks, we could use your help. We had our first open house before the real open house last Friday, and about 50 of our partners came out to see the space. And we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll be able to start construction the first week or two of May of this year. Don't have a date of when this might be up and running, but we're hoping at least by year's end. So we've got 2 projects coming online here. Really quickly, the Rotarian Foundation has already supported us at Vineyard 2.0. So thank you for that, Rotarian Foundation. And thank you for Rotary Club of Livermore for your support of Open Heart Kitchen for all these years. This is a quick snapshot of what the facility will look like. That is the Open Heart Food Bank. So right now we pay about $17,000 a month to rent this facility. We pay about $16 a month to rent the production kitchen in Danville. So this is the cost of providing equitable access to nutritious meals by building a food secure future. It is not inexpensive. And it takes a lot of people to make this work. Thank you. I'll pass this out.
So I know we're over time.
No, it's not your fault. What's your preference? Should we adjourn or ask questions? What's your, obviously you can leave. No one's holding you here. Would you like to take a few questions? Maybe I could go to chat first and see if there's anybody there. Pat, anybody have a question?
Hank Shea has his hand up. Hank, why don't you unmute and ask or make your question or comment?
I'd like to ask Mr. Bost, what fraction of the people coming to Vineyard number 2 that's being built on North Livermore will be former homeless people?
All of them will be former homeless folks. The big question right now that's above our pay grade as Open Art Kitchen is we have no input or say or control of who those 23 individuals are. That's been a question that has been there from the very beginning of what is the selection process and who determines who is first priority given to Tri-Valley residents, folks that were born here, who went to school here, whose families live here. Are there folks that will be coming from outside of the Tri-Valley that will have access to that space and have the ability to become residents of Vineyard 2.0? That's I think we're beyond the $1 million question, the $25 million question.
All right. Christian.
Paul, thank you so much for all the things you do. I've worked with Heather for a while and Denise. And what's amazing to me that the fact that you guys are not only providing the food, you're actually providing nutritious meals, yeah. And you will not believe, I mean, just out of curiosity, I've tasted the food and I couldn't believe how nutritious they are. So I want to thank you for that. Real quick. Now, just overall, just by, in the United States, about 3.1 million children under the age of 5 die of malnutrition. Yeah, so which is totally, about 6,007. But over the world, about $3.1 million, according to World Health Organization and UNICEF. Any idea how many die in our Tri-Valley, each year of malnutrition? And also, I know you work with, Donna, in terms of coordinating the homeless and the food. Do we have any idea, what happens to people who are ill? Because sometimes you can develop some kind of illness, plus you need the food at the same time. How do you extend? What do you do for this kind of people? Is there any way to get them the food? How do you know, besides working with Donna?
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, so I've just started partnering with Stanford Valley Care. They just finished, they didn't just finish the most recent needs assessment. I don't know how often they do this. They completed a community health needs assessment that names 8 particular things that they want to focus on. And a lot of that is around negative health outcomes, especially for folks who have been released from the hospital post-op. We saw a lot of this with Livermore Homeless Refuge, where at times folks get dumped on us or other organizations. And then all of a sudden that person becomes your responsibility to figure out what happens next. I don't have great statistics on that, Christian. That's something I'd be really interested in knowing more what those numbers are. In terms of child morbidity, one of the things that Open Art Kitchen did pre-COVID was we had a whole army of volunteers that would pack up to 1,800 bag lunches for elementary schools that kids could take home. That all went away with COVID because of obvious reasons. And because the schools and counties and state did really great job of making those meals free of charge. As we think about the possibility of returning to a program like the bagged lunch program to try to meet children where they are, especially on the weekends, and to cover that space for them, there were a lot of problems with that program too, that if we're honest with ourselves, I'm not sure it makes sense for us to go back to that. I think the shift that we're making now and is thinking in terms of the food bank is, instead of with the bag lunches where we were only able to really touch and connect with the kid and their needs on the weekend, now through the food bank, by empowering these distribution organizations in the Tri-Valley, we can connect and impact the entire family, not just the child. So I'm hoping that has something of that downstream effect too, to still obviously to the children. And the exact statistics of that for the Tri-Valley or Alameda County, I'm not sure.
Thank you so much. Let's close the meeting, but I'm sure you said you'd stick around. Thank you very much.